In an exclusive interview, House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer announces he is opening an investigation into the impact of media rating service NewsGuard on protected First Amendment speech and its potential to serve as an agent of censorship. One America's John Hines has more from Capitol Hill.
Sir, you are opening up an investigation. You're opening up an investigation into something called NewsGuard, and it has to do with the fact that NewsGuard rates media services, media entities. It gives them a rating, but somehow it appears that it may rate, I guess, left-leaning outlets on a curve, so to speak, and it may rate conservative-leaning news outlets not on a curve. So left-leaning outlets get an A, conservative-leaning outlets sometimes get a D, something like that. And it appears that there is some support, maybe financial support, coming from the federal government of NewsGuard. What seems to be going on, sir?
Yeah, that's why we've opened an investigation. First of all, they get federal funds, and if anything gets federal funds, then it falls under the jurisdiction of the House Oversight Committee. Secondly, this appears to be a very biased, very unfair service that's getting federal funds. It could be another backdoor attempt at censoring conservative media outlets, because what they do is they rate somehow on their terms, and this is what we want to know more about.
It's kind of a black box, isn't it?
Yeah, what's their criteria for giving these grades? It just happened to give news networks like MSNBC and CNN tremendous grades, and then networks like OAN, Newsmax, and Fox very poor grades. So we want to know why they're doing this, what is the basis for their criteria they use to determine these grades, because then they turn around and they offer their grades to advertisers. And this is a form of, I believe, trying to discourage advertisers from advertising on conservative networks. So if this is a private company doing this, you know, as unfair as it is, there's probably not a lot that the House Oversight Committee can do, but because they get federal funds, then I have a problem with this, because we know from our Biden influence peddling investigation, when we had the Twitter employees in front of our very first hearing,
the whistleblowers,
that there's a concerted effort by the federal government to censor conservative media outlets so that they can continue to stuff their liberal, untrue indoctrination down the throats of many Americans.
So are you talking about that, what is now, I think, a lawsuit? It was Missouri versus Biden. Now I think it's Murtha versus Biden. Biden administration officials sort of leaning in on Twitter and other platforms to censor certain news stories?
Yes, and unfortunately it happened during the Trump administration too, not by Trump administration officials, but by deep state officials. Because you have, going back all the way to COVID, when Dr. Fauci was spewing a lot of his nonsense, anyone that had dissenting views on the pandemic was censored. What we know from the Twitter files is that the intelligence community had specific divisions focused on nothing but trolling conservative outlets, conservative social media sites, and things like that, to try to censor conservative dissenting viewpoints from the liberal, deep state talking points. So this service is something that we're very concerned about, because this is another way that I believe liberals are trying to censor conservative speech by doing it to dissuade advertisers from advertising on good conservative networks like OAN and Newsmax and Fox.
What do we know about the funding, federal funding that they may be receiving to support what they're doing?
Well, we know the federal government funds things that, in my opinion, they probably shouldn't. We know they fund public radio, public television, things like that. This is another source that's supposed to be bipartisan, supposed to help rate agencies on the truthfulness, so to speak, of what they report on television. No, you look at, I watch what MSNBC and CNN says about the Biden influence peddling investigation. For example, they say there's no evidence. They say there's no, the House Oversight Committee has failed to tie any wrongdoing to the Biden family. That is a crock of bull crap. And according to NewsGuard, they would say that's accurate, and they would say what you reported with me is inaccurate. I don't like spending federal funds on an on an entity like this, but at the very least, we need to know what their criteria is and determine whether there's been any criminal laws broken.
Sir, Jamie Comer of Kentucky, 1st District, thank you for talking to us on Weekly Briefing.
For all our viewers asking where One America News is heading in the future, we would like to introduce you to OAN Live. OAN Live is the best way to stay up to date on all of the hard-hitting, straight-shooting, national and international headlines. And the best part is, OAN Live is only $4.99 per month. All the credible, honest, unbiased reporting One America News offers at a fraction of the cost of cable. Just go to OANN.com to easily sign up for OAN Live and stay informed.